Welcome to the Conclave. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Conclave.Podcast. I've gotten out of habit of introducing us, so let's get back into that. I am Patrick. This is my beautiful wife, Jess. That about sums up Jess. This whole getting comments that you're the funny one is definitely going to your head. I love it. Don't get me wrong, I dig it.
I just let the intrusive thoughts win.
You have to. If anywhere in the world do you have the opportunity to let the intrusive thoughts win, right here. Because it's real world, but it's not.
Yeah, touche.
Touche. All right, guys. So if you follow in along every single week, last week we found out once again that our stories both were not the assholes, and now we're getting back to some pertinent information. Uh, we're going to do something a little different this time. We have no papers, we have no notes, no outline, nothing. We're kind of going to be going in conversational format. We're going to use a lot of anecdotes
Hmm.
because my field is full of flags and their color is red.
And today we'll be discussing metaphysical red flags, the people you should watch out or avoid, the attitudes that might be unhealthy or avoidant from other practitioners and people you are seeking help from. So,
Correct. And this is all stuff that's going to help you when you're choosing a metaphysical shop to go to and make it your shop. It's going to address different practitioners to work with,
mentors,
mentors, healers
readers.
that you go to, readers that you go to. And yes, we do own a shop. We do healing. We do readings. Uh, this is not a plug for us. Okay. I would like you to take these same things that we talk about and apply them to us if you're in the Pittsburgh area and consider using us as your one-stop shop of supplies or your readers, your healers, your et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so this is something that I'm not just doing to call out others. I'm doing it so that we can call out ourselves also,
Hmm.
and things are done properly. Um, and like I said, a lot of this is going to be anecdotal because we have had to go through that process of looking for teachers, looking for healers, looking for a place to buy our supplies at.
And we've been taken advantage of, and
Oh, yeah.
backstabbed, and drained of time, energy, money by people who were only in things for themselves.
Themselves and money, which is really kind of weird and stupid
Because you
because
ain't making money in this business.
you're not
Sorry,
making
not
money in the
sorry.
metaphysical business. I assure you.
Yeah, if you're here trying to sell snake oil, you need to pick a different snake oil, man. Because like
You don't get rich doing
you don't
this.
get rich doing this.
You don't even really get comfortable doing this.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for almost 4 years now in our own shop, let alone just we could tack an extra year or so onto it, 2 years onto it. So that, we're going on about 5 years total of helping out and working in
Hmm.
this business. I still have to work a full second time job to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the shop pays for itself 150%, right? It
You
has,
just haven't been able to take a salary from it
yeah,
yet.
we've reinvested all profits that we've gotten to expanding our inventory and being able to do different things. But as far as taking a salary and still maintaining a comfortable, safe level of operations, still not happening. Now, it's normal for most small businesses, but this is a very niche business, and that doesn't change.
No.
So if you're getting into this and you're thinking about becoming one of these red flag scammer douchebags,
First off, go fuck yourself.
yeah, I'm not even going to count that as one because that is
That is
the only
literally
way to
that's the only way
describe
to
it.
say it.
Um, but you're not going to make the kind of cash you're thinking of anyway. So go scam somebody
You
else
you
somewhere
will
else.
have the day you fucking deserve,
Yeah,
asshole.
yeah. Um, so where should we begin with this? Do you want to
um,
just start with the level of shops and what we found there, or do we want
let's
to?
no, let's start with Spiritual Walmart, aka Etsy shops.
Okay.
I think this is one I would like to start with because it's so accessible to everybody, even if you're in an area that doesn't have, especially if you're in like a conservative area or a rural area that doesn't have access to like brick and mortar shops. A lot of people will go to things like Facebook and Etsy and what have you in
True.
order to access supplies. And I understand that it's very, very difficult to access supplies and information in those areas,
Yeah,
especially. So, one big red flag. First off, I don't think you should be paying for anybody to do spell work for you.
that's something you should do yourself.
I can tell you on one hand how many times I've done active spell work for a client, and they've never paid for those. Those
No,
were because the work needed doing, and I was equipped to put my nose in there. It wasn't because I was trying to be like, oh, you need a cord cutting. Okay, that'll be 77.77. And that's another red flag. If they have repeating or angel numbers as their prices, fuck all the way off. Like that is a giant red flag. They're trying to, they think it's cute or clever to try and trick you into buying their shit. I'm not talking about people who are selling like devotional jewelry and items and crafts and things. Like if they have like Morrigan and Hecate necklaces that they sell, or they sell candles. Like, fine.
you're talking more of like the um, money working spell for 222.22,
Yeah.
or the
We're doing a
uh,
group ritual prosperity spell on Friday. Get your slot today by paying $44.44 now, and then it'll be $222.22 after. The only prosperity
do-
spell that bitch is working is for herself.
dominate that man 11111,
Yeah, like,
stuff like that. I mean, come on.
no, like, absolutely not.
There are ones out there, and so we are going to be mentioning specific people or places, but without using their actual names or companies or anything of the such, because legal reasons. And I think with this one, a great example is this person that we and our friend Arlene have dubbed the faux priestess,
Yeah.
and it is very much a whole giant pile of crap. Um, and but they use this typical scamming method.
And they also claim to work with like six different spirits from six different pantheons. Um,
Hold priestly titles from like four different closed practices.
yeah.
They're in their 20s, maybe early 30s at the oldest.
And those titles have all come in the last 2 years.
Yeah,
Like it's no, you didn't.
yeah.
Like
They've been practicing less than 4 years.
five, I think. I
Is it
think.
5? Okay.
Yeah, like
Time kind of melts all together. But we know they've been practicing this long because we have met a person that was close to them
that gave them
that
items to start
gave
their
them
practice.
items, candles, tarot decks to kind of start with. And literally the very next day after gifting these items to this person, they were selling spells for 11111.
On Etsy. Like,
So,
I mean, it's if you see repeating numbers in a price, run. Period.
I
I'm
will
not
say
talking
don't.
about like 99.99 because like some shit's $100.
I'm not going to say necessarily run. So all these red flags don't necessarily mean the person is a scamming bitch or bastard or piece of shit or whatever you want to call them, right? But these are things because I'm sure some of these red flags will apply to us also. What these red flags are supposed to do is get your attention so that you can
Use
pause,
use your discernment.
use your discernment, use your judgment, and get to the bottom of things, right? We're pointing out red flags of things that should alert you.
Yeah, that should give you pause.
So let's not necessarily say run, because I in the firm belief that this person, the faux priestess, she is, I'm not gonna say gifted. I'm not gonna even say competent, but I'm gonna say she has stumbled upon things that actually work,
Hmm.
even though has no idea what she's doing or how to do it right, and has gotten people.
Yeah, like she she knows enough to be effective. The problem is that effect is not what you're looking for. We've had to cleanse multiple people from being
Oh,
stuck by her.
it's been
It like we had one girl for months that we had to work with to get some of the nastiness just sloughed off her.
100%.
So, like it's something that should give you extreme pause, and then you should look at everything else they're selling. And if all they're selling is primarily like spell or energy work, that's a big red flag. That stuff has a very low material cost.
Yes, but they're going to put it on there. So if you look at one of these online only shops, and they have, say, a 1 ounce bottle of spell oil for 30, 40, 50, $60, but you look on either an established store's website, or you go into one of your local shops, and those same oils with the same intentions are going for, what is it, 12, $13?
Yeah, most
13?
I think the most I saw around here, when there were still other people that were making their oils in house, was
15, 20.
15
Yeah.
bucks. Like it was
Yeah.
never over $20 for like a 1 ounce bottle.
Yeah. So if you see this extreme difference in price, take note to that. That's a flag. If 90% of the makeup of some of these spell items is glitter, huge red flag.
I'm gonna need you to like anytime somebody uses glitter in something, and we use glitter. I use glitter in candles and stuff.
Yes.
I have a reason when I use the glitter. So if you're just using mica powder or glitter to make it look pretty, um,
I'm going to have
I'm
issue.
gonna have an
I'm going
issue.
to say, if they can't explain to you an actual metaphysical reason, a spiritual reason for glitter being in it. Like, for example, like Jess said, we use it on some of our candles. These are candles to the gods that are
Have a little extra
a little
pizzazz,
extra pizzazz and a little prettiness to it,
a
right?
little fabuloso. Um, but it's also like remember glitter is multifaceted refracted light.
Yes.
So when you're using that in something that's a spell or a ritual aspect, it's doing the same thing to the energy you're putting in that you do to the light
Yeah.
that does the light. So it's reflecting it in multiple directions. I mean, and that's not always the kind of energy you're looking for. So unless you can tell me exactly why you're incorporating things like anything reflective really into a spell or into like a component, I don't trust it. Like
Yeah, if all you're trying to do is attract the squirrel brains of customers and be like, oh, shiny, you know, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I have one.
yeah,
Jess has one on certain days. So, um, if that's the only purpose for it, maybe they're in it for profit rather than purpose, right? And
and
to
even in some contexts, like I would say it would be fine to be like I added this because it's pretty, and this is for Aphrodite.
yes,
This is somebody who cares about aesthetics.
yeah.
Again, there's a purpose and a place, but you got to tell me what it is.
I mean, it's on our Loki candle,
Yeah,
which very much is a
yeah,
aspect.
but it's black glitter because he's a little goth.
Um, the other thing I'll say about the strictly online stores and businesses, and the reason why I keep saying it's strictly online and not, oh, they don't have a brick and mortar, is you do see a lot of legitimate metaphysical shops or stores, however you want to reference it, that do go to regular shows, right?
Yeah.
They'll go to events, they'll set up tables.
Spiritual events, oddities events.
Yeah,
Hell, sometimes they'll even go to like Comic Cons and stuff.
exactly.
So, like,
So these are still, a sign of something that's still very much more legitimate than just in the ether,
yeah,
right? And
then somebody who can scam you and disappear.
now 100%, they can still be scammers. Brick and mortar can still be a scammer. We're going to go into that one here in a little bit into some depth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the red flags can be anywhere, the bad people can be anywhere, the good people can be anywhere. Like I said, use these little blinks to question and observe and look. And if somebody's unwilling to tell you why they use glitter, or why they used, I mean, let's say they're doing a return to sender,
Mm-hmm.
okay, smell, and they're using citrate. Normally something that wouldn't necessarily say goes into return to sender.
Yeah.
But for other people, there could be aspects of it that I just don't remember or haven't learned. There could be reasonings for it.
They could be working with the shadow aspect of citrine,
Yeah. So ask.
which could be attracting the other person's luck to them
Yeah.
instead, like stealing their luck or their prosperity.
But the practitioner who makes these things, who sell these things, they should be able to explain to you why they use. I'm not saying give you their recipe, because we won't. There's a reason why we have recipes, and if we give it away to everybody, then the business side to our trip into this world is dead. But they should be able to at least explain to you why they're using the materials that they're using.
Yeah.
If they can't, that's gonna tell you a lot more than their legitimacy, because you're spending 66.66 on this 1 ounce oil.
And also, if they're unwilling, if you would even like, there have been people I know that have approached things like, "Hey, I have allergies. What exactly?" Because my oils are made with um, whole herbs. So when somebody asks, like, "What's in this?" I'm allergic to lavender. I'm gonna let them know
Yeah,
whether or not that's safe.
yeah.
I'm going to make sure that they know that there's nothing like lavender adjacent in there so that they know that they can use it without worry. So if they're not willing to address any allergy concerns, that's a big red flag because safety should be your first priority in anything you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think on this side to it would be beating a
Beating a
dead
dead.
horse. So let's move on to, let's jump into the brick and mortars.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of the same red flags will apply to brick and mortar,
Hmm.
and I think when we touch this one, we're also going to be touching on uh, readers and healers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there was a shop in the Pittsburgh area. We were, I don't want to say necessarily to, but we got to see the inner workings of.
Hmm.
Boy, were they very good at presenting a mask of what we're carrying.
Very good at basically glaring people into
Yeah,
believing the hype, believing their story. And I mean, they sucked in a lot of people, and we found eventually a group of people whose eyes had been opened through one way or another. That, like, all of a sudden, everything became very glaring. That
yeah,
it's like, oh, shit. Like, you kept making excuses, or like, it's just the way they talk, and I'm like, that's a pretty horrible thing to do.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So let's start giving some examples, and I think this is, one of the primary ones, um, for the one person, their readings. So, and everybody wants to get a reading. Everybody loves sitting there and hearing about what's potentially coming up next,
And
right?
even if it's just for funsies, like,
Even if it's just for funsies. When you market yourself as being one of the best, or
internationally renowned
internationally renowned,
because they gave a reading to somebody in the UK once.
no, it was Canada, it wasn't even
Oh,
the UK. Uh, all these big hot button words that can pump you up, for over 20 years. Blah, 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 blah. But then when you sit down and you get the reading with this person, first off, if your practitioner is high all the time, don't.
yeah.
All right. I'm not a listen. There's a lot of people who incorporate cannabis into their practice, and there are places where it works. And even historically, there have been forms of divinations and seeing the future that has used substances. Right? I acknowledge that. I understand that. But when a person is high to the point where they have a hard time walking into the room to give the reading, or can't hold deck properly, and it falls out of their hands, and it's just like sweeps them off to the side and goes, "We're not going to worry about those." Like,
I mean,
these are indicators that maybe we're just high and we're not connecting.
yeah, like think about trying to get a reading from a sloppy drunk. If anybody is
Yeah,
sloppy in their inebriation of anything, probably should get up and be like, you know what, I'm
we're
good.
good here.
And
If they're moving card to card so quickly that you don't have even half a second to see what card is what,
hmm
red flag. If all they tell you is a detailed story, but not how it associates with the cards or what the cards were or anything like that, red flag.
yeah,
I got one, And quite literally, the dude just dealt the cards in a giant circle and would stop every now and then and go, huh. Just more, more, more. Watch out for a woman coming through from the internet. It's going to break up your marriage.
which never happened.
That
Um,
happened. Um, but it's just like if it's always something highly sensationalized,
yeah.
sometimes the card's going to tell you don't turn left down this road because you're going to trip and stumble or drop something.
Yeah.
Maybe it's, your check-in could quite honestly be like, hey, cool, nothing major's going on, so
Keep on keeping on.
keep
Like,
on keeping on and have fun, right? There's a lot of just
I
meh
honestly love
messages that
those.
come
It's like, because you're in the right place. Like, you're
through.
where
Yeah,
you need to
yeah.
be, my guy. Like, just keep doing what you're doing. That just means, like, you don't have a lot of drama. Like,
But if there's I don't want to say a hiding of information,
mm-hmm.
because that's what you're doing when you're not. So, one thing, and everybody reads differently, so I can't really speak for everybody else here at the shop. But for me personally, like when I do a reading, I'll let all the cards come out first, then we go back to the first one and we go card by card by card. And we go over first the technical meaning of the card, and then after each line, because I read it, it's like a book, right? Because it comes through more of a story to me than a spread. Um, each line will then double back on, okay, so this whole line now here combined together, these cards together, this is what the intuitive message is. And then we'll keep going back and building off of it. But
Mm-hmm.
each card, before we go back and discuss the intuitive message, we discuss what the card is about, right? Because that plays a big part.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't need cards. If all you're doing is plucking the information out of the ether and it's coming to you in a full story, well, then why are you using cards? So if you're doing that with the cards, just in all honesty, are you even doing the thing,
Yeah.
or are we making it up?
And see,
Like,
I kind of I'll pull like a couple cards at a time and go through them as I go so that they know I'm kind of paying attention and seeing patterns evolving through the reading. Um, and usually by the time I get to the bottom, it's like, oh, now I really see what's going on up
yeah,
here, and I can like they've been listening the whole time. They can now start to relate what's going
hmm
at
hmm
the end to what started at the beginning and
yeah.
where we got to where we were going.
A different reader, and this, I mean, when I realized this one, I just found it absolutely hilarious. This is a woman who, again, used all the catchphrases, reading for over 25 years, uh, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
She was still using those beginner decks that have the
The
card meanings written on them. Now, I
the
get it. Some people
keywords
have
and
a
stuff.
hard time. Some people have a hard time with memory and remembering. We have one friend who has to keep this, still many years after reading, has to keep the book with her at all times because she has had um, some medical conditions that make memorizing very, very difficult. I get that. But if you're presenting yourself in this grandiose way, but still unable to do the basics, it's the I'm trying to hide my shortcomings. If they're trying to hide anything, can you trust them to be honest in all of it?
Yeah. Another good thing to look out for when you're approaching a brick and mortar anywhere, see if they have reviews in places where they can't remove negativity.
Mm,
Google, Yelp, anything like that. You don't want Facebook reviews are pointless. You can take those down.
yeah, you can edit it right out and take out the ones you don't like.
So same with like reviews on your website. Like look at all my glowing reviews on my website. Yeah, because I picked and chose which ones I wanted to put out. So look where they don't have as much authority over what's left. Like we have been able to get a bad review taken down. Somebody who had never been in the store and only reviewed churches. We were like, oh, this person just hates metaphysical stores, and we were able to get that removed by Google listing by proving like that we don't have a record
But
of
it,
this
it
client
took
whatsoever.
weeks.
Yeah, I mean it's not an easy process.
And 9 times out of 10, you will fail in getting the review taken down.
Yeah.
All right. They are very good at leaving everything up there. It's just like having a slander or libel case, right? It's so difficult to win because you actually have to have solid proof.
Yeah.
right? So we had to be able to prove that this name was nowhere on our receipts, and that what they were saying was inaccurate, and then we're then backed it up with the fact of, they're out here giving 5-star reviews to nothing else but churches, and then all of a sudden they review a metaphysical shop.
Yeah.
Things don't quite go hand in hand.
And I think we saw them do the same thing to another metaphysical shop
Yeah,
in their review history. So right, obviously they're targeting a specific type of business.
exactly. So Google is possible as long as, but it's rare. You can trust Google reviews. If it's a 5-star place, awesome. They're probably a pretty good one to go into if it's on Google. Yelp even more so because people on Yelp are unhinged.
Yeah, I trust like especially on Google, I trust like 4.7 up. If I see a
Yeah.
4.7, I'm assuming that one that one reviewer or two reviews that brought it down
Mm-hmm.
is either A, somebody who just reviews 3s or 4 stars and it's just they don't give 5 stars and
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yep.
Or it's like one bad experience, out of so many. So like
Exactly.
like I don't expect perfection when I'm looking at reviews. I'm expecting a higher ratio of very good experiences versus one or two bad ones. Because you're always like, especially when you're working in such a nebulous field,
Yeah.
um, a, it's very possible for somebody to be disappointed in the way something turns out.
Mm-hmm.
So I do take that a lot, like negativity with a grain of salt.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, Google is one of those ones where you can Facebook. You yourself have control over which ones stay up. But the ones who put on their websites, read my testimonials. Awesome. You got 5 really glowing reviews. Out of how many?
Yeah.
Again, it's the don't look behind the curtain.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's why I didn't put any on our website because if you first off, if you found our website, you probably found our Google listing. Go listen to that.
Yeah,
Um, Secondly, like I'm curating my own information on my website. Obviously, I'm going to make myself look good.
exactly.
So I'm just going to focus on here's the stuff I have for sale,
Yep.
and
Yep.
here's where you can reach us if you have any questions.
Yep. And I'm going to tell you, take into consideration when choosing a brick and mortar and looking at readers and stuff through there. If they do guest readers, look into the guest readers.
Mm-hmm.
Look into their Google reviews. Look into their stuff. And if the people that the brick and mortar has coming in to do readings, if those ones aren't great, I'll tell you something about the shop. Now, in all honesty, I really don't know many shops who have nefarious readers in
No,
them.
in fact, most of the guest readers, at least in our area, like they kind of just do a circuit of
Mm-hmm.
all the shops, and most of them are fairly reliable.
Yeah.
We've had one or two come in that either were so offended that we required a audition that they never showed up. And we do like we screen every guest reader we have.
If you want to be a guest reader in here, you have to do a reading for myself, for Jess, and for Adam. And then the 3 of us get together, we discuss it, and we make sure that it's gonna, it was accurate and it gets in line with what.
And we all have things that are green flags within the reading that we won't tell anybody until after they
Yep.
finished until after we've finished our discussion.
I will say this though, if you get me, actually, if you get any of us to tear up, that's pretty much a guarantee. You're getting this, and it's happened a couple times. One of the people, very hopefully, will be on the show later this year, discussing past life readings.
Yeah, she's great.
She's fantastic. But which leads us into another, I think, red flag, and that's when it comes to mediums. So we medium who wants to come into the shop, and this was one of the ones where did not show.
Yeah, didn't she?
And texted us, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I double booked and I couldn't make it in." And, we're like,
That's fine, but we're
that's
gonna pass.
fine, pass. And then sends back a thing of like, "Well, I'm choosing to not come and do stuff at your store.
I'm like, we just told you we're
We've already
passing.
told you no thanks."
Like we
And it
already
wasn't
said
somebody, so it was, and this wasn't somebody that was going to get the spot anyway. I'm going to be 100% honest. I did my due diligence.
Hmm.
I looked into it. This medium had 4 or 5 different professional names out there. And when they receive enough bad reviews on one, they move to another,
Yeah.
right? Um, I also recognize where they trained,
And
and it
place
is
that.
one that is known to teach cold calls.
Yeah.
And we got into how they did their group readings, how they do all their stuff, and that's going to be another thing you need to watch out on, and that's not just for brick and mortars, not just for Etsy's, but on all of your social medias. These mediums out there that'll be like, oh, I am getting somebody, an older woman, curly hair,
A
maybe
floral dress,
something to
like
do.
literally describes every grandma ever.
She mentions that one because the one brick and mortar we were talking about earlier, the husband was a medium, would describe this little old lady with curly hair in a floral, beautiful dress, and almost like, look at this new dress I have. And but he would use it on the same. He would use
You
the
use it with
same phrasing with
everyone.
every single person there.
And we've had multiple people who got readings confirm this.
Confirm. One of which it was another shop owner, another practitioner, and one that is very well embedded in the community, one that is very well trusted in the community.
Hmm.
We did potlucks and get-togethers with this other shop. I don't want to mention it just because I don't know if they would be okay
Yeah.
with us mentioning them. Um, some of you may already know who I'm going to be talking about. They're fantastic. We absolutely love them. They closed down for a little bit. They're back, and it's only
Okay, too much identifying information.
oh, there's no name. I don't think they would mind, but
But
anywho,
just in case.
um, he used it on her, and she accepted the information, right? Because when you're first meeting somebody, you're gonna try to give them the benefit of the doubt and self information. Months later, she's standing next to a friend, and this dude does the exact same thing, describes the exact same to the friend while she's standing right there,
Hmm.
and she's like, "Oh, you son of a bitch."
Right. It wasn't just them, like they did it to another one, like two more of
Yep,
our friends, like that
yep.
we know of, have had the same experience. So,
If somebody is fishing, and this goes even for tarot readers, right? I recently did a large convention and took a bathroom break, and as I was walking around, I'm listening. Like, I listen to the other readers. First off, when in these big settings, yeah, I'll relax my guards to try to feel energy a little bit to see, okay, who might be
potential guest reader.
potential guest readers, who can I direct others to if they just don't, either like the way I'm doing it or if they want to expand and get a second opinion. Um, and one thing I found, and I've seen this before, other smaller ones I did. This one, it was really glaring. People will cold call as they're doing their tarot readings. Like, they'll talk about what the card's supposed to mean. And I actually heard the one girl goes, "So what does that mean to you?" And then continue the reading based off of what the person's answer was. If somebody is fishing for information from you, red flag.
Hmm.
There's only one place that we need to fish the information from, and that's the other side, right? Not you. And if we're not able to fish it from the other side, then we need to be honest. I've had readings before where I've looked at the person and go, "I'm really sorry, it's not coming through. For whatever reason,
I've had
I'm
one where
getting zero information from this. I'm really sorry. Let me get you your money back."
I've had one where I had to call you in and be like, all right, this is not,
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. We had to switch out in the middle of it.
yeah, where I was like, all right, this is what I'm pulling and it's not coming through. And I know something's there, but it's not like the antenna's broken right now. So you come and check, like, see
Yeah,
what you got here.
yeah. So any kind of fishing for information, huge red flag. Any type of hiding of information, huge red flag. If they are unwilling to stop right there, offer you a refund because things aren't going well, big red flag.
And then, okay, like I think it kind of covers readers.
I think so.
I would like to also say for brick and mortar, any consultant you're dealing with, my biggest red flag is toxic positivity and spiritual
Mm,
bypass. Anybody who is only love and light to the point that anything bad that happens to you, it, it it's giving God has a plan, and I hate that. Well, I guess we all have probably some form of spiritual destiny and spiritual mission while we're here because we are spiritual beings in a human body. We still have choice and free will. So anybody who's like, oh, all the shitty things happen to you, and that's because you're not thinking positively enough. That's because you're letting the dark thoughts win. It's giving like
It's
don't take
high vibration.
yeah, it's giving don't take your antidepressants, it's all in your head. And
Yeah.
it's very toxic.
And anybody telling you the love and light stuff out there has a place, but anybody that is strictly that
Is ignoring the
is
fact that
ignoring half the universe.
yeah,
It'd be the same thing if you go into a place and it's all dark and doom and gloom and hexes and left-handed path and all that kind of stuff. Uh-uh. It's
anybody
not white, it's not black. The world is gray. And if you can't heal, you can't hex. You can't hex, you can't heal.
and nobody's saying you have to go out and hex people. You may never touch a hex in your life, but you need to understand that sometimes hurt happens because hurt happens.
Yes.
You need to understand that sometimes it's just depression.
Yep.
And you need to talk to a doctor and you need to get some medicine.
Another red flag. If somebody tries to get you off of your medicines or off seeing doctors and anything of that such, huge red flag. That's going to be in practitioners and healers. We'll get into healers here in a little
yeah,
bit.
anybody who's like your your autoimmune disease can totally be cured with these herbs and these crystals and some Reiki. Fuck all the way off.
Yep.
Fuck all the way off.
Yep.
Again, you're a scam artist and you should probably get thrown off a bridge.
Oh,
sorry.
100%. It's not just raising your vibration. It's not just, like you said, this herb, this crystal.
And I'm not saying there isn't power in positive thinking. There isn't power in manifesting like positive things coming to you by putting positive things out there. We should all strive to be like more positive, but at the same time, that doesn't mean to the detriment of your physical, mental, and emotional well being.
Yes. This next part I think is going to, for me anyway, and it does touch into this, ties in, I think, more on the social media practitioner side. Um, I've never really heard it in a brick and mortar or at somebody's table, but it's not saying it doesn't happen. And that is the aggrandizing somebody that you don't know, right? And I think this is still, I think, similar to what you're saying, but these are the ones of, oh, you're a very powerful witch, and it goes back in your lineage.
Oh my God.
Or, not everybody in their past life was some major historical figure. I think I've met 4 Napoleons.
Yeah. No, you were not Cleopatra in a past life.
No. I mean, somebody was.
Somebody
It's not
was,
you.
but chances are
Chances are you were Ned from down the street.
chances are you were, you know, emptying the chamber pot. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, chances are you were tilling a field somewhere. Chances are you got an arrow through the eye being cannon fodder for some fucking medieval lord. Like, it's okay to not be special. Like, you don't have to be the most specialist of all the specials.
Yep.
We are not what's its face from the fucking Lego movie. Like, we all, like, it's okay to just be.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yep.
To just be and find a way that you can be balanced and healthy and happy.
Yeah. And this whole concept of you have to be a generational witch. Or I'm so powerful because my lineage traces back hundreds of years of witchcraft. So good for you. My family traces back hundreds of years of Catholicism. Doesn't make me the Pope.
Yep. I'm so glad your family was able to splooge successfully. Like, what do you want, a fucking gold star? The fact that any of us are here and born has absolutely nothing to do with the decisions we make as humans.
Yep.
It has everything to do with your mom and dad getting fucking horny. And that's not special. That's not special.
It's not. Now, will I admit there are families that share traits down the line. Whether,
Absolutely.
especially when it comes like stuff like the Claires. Does that tend to trace through a family? Yeah. Does it necessarily have to? Nope. Nope. You know what? I color traces down through your family also doesn't make you freaking special.
Yeah.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, you're special in your own right. Everybody's a unique snowflake.
Yeah. I'm not saying like
But
I'm not saying
when
people aren't
people
special.
blow smoke up your ass to try to show how special you are, how connected, and it's like, you know, I totally lost my train of thought. But it's like, listen, I just met you, so how are you going to sit here and tell me my family lineage traces back hundreds of years of witchcraft and all this shit? We don't know each other.
Yeah.
So it is literally people just speaking out their rear end to try to entice you more, to try to pull you in. So red flag.
Yeah.
You might actually be the reincarnation of Cleopatra and Napoleon, but the chances of which are just almost zero.
Also, why the fuck does that even matter?
Yeah.
What lessons did you learn by being either of them other than, I don't know, like how to die? Um,
How to make stupid decisions and lose a war on a global scale.
like how to be a shitty world leader? Like country taken over, country taken away. Like,
Yeah.
sorry.
What matters is what you're doing today, what you're doing now, what you're doing with this lifetime. So even if you are this grandiose reincarnation, so what? What does it matter?
Yeah, what
It doesn't change
lessons
anything.
are you learning from it? If you're not learning anything from it and just putting it on your chest like a little badge of honor that again you didn't earn because you didn't choose to be here. Your parents chose to fuck. Um, then what is it doing for you? Like, other than making you feel like you're better than somebody.
Yep.
And guess what? You're not.
And
You're not.
that's the tactic that they're going to be using to try to pull you in, which is the ultimate purpose for this section of the
Like
the conversation. It's
feeding into your own ego and superiority complex helps no one but your own ego.
and the person that's going to sell you overpriced stuff for
And
$222.22.
the person raking in your cash.
Yep, yep. Another red flag, at least for me, astrology, and not astrology in general, but the people who are out there. There's two things I think when you're looking for an astrologer is going to be giant red flags. The first one, if they blame everything on Pluto being in their 14th house.
If there's no accountability whatsoever,
And well, yeah, this is why you act like that, and that's okay. Well, no, it's not okay, okay? Because like we were just saying, there's personal accountability. So you're not an asshole because a planet was in a certain house. You're an asshole because you're choosing to be an asshole. Does it give leniences towards character traits, some insights? Yes. But if somebody's trying to push away and give you excuses because of these things, to me, that's a red flag.
absolutely.
That's
Like
anybody that's trying to get rid of, because all they're doing is playing to your own desire to
do whatever the fuck you want
do whatever you want. And
without
let's all face it,
consequences.
we would all love to do whatever we want without consequences whatsoever. And they're playing off of that. The other thing, if they're able to get you your natal chart in 24 to 48 hours,
They're using a website.
they're using a website. Again, I'm coming back to that same shop that was good at hiding who they really were, was good at doing slimy, terrible readings. Healings. We'll get to what they did in that one here shortly. Uh, but they would also sit there like, "Oh, we have such accurate natal charts." They literally went into a website, a free website, typed in, they got the name, date of birth, location of birth, and time from the customer. They typed it into the computer. The computer spit out the natal chart,
And they just
and then they
churched it
emailed
up.
it out. They would print it out on fancy paper, and that was about it. They did not, and they would charge. It was
Yeah, it was over $100
it was over $100 for this thing. And the only reason why it ever took 2, 3, 4, 5 days,
because they were too high to actually do it the first day.
because they just didn't do it until they started getting people going, uh, is this coming? Then they would type it in and have it slapped out in less than 10 minutes. So unless your astrologer is sitting down there with the proper books and charts and graphs and actually charting it themselves, well, they sorry,
I don't think there's
they,
something wrong with using a computer program to chart. Like, we don't need to pull out the fucking little, what is it, compasses or whatever we
yeah,
used in geometry class or whatever. Like, it's okay to use something that's going to plot the information for you, but you still need to know how to actually read that information.
yeah. And then that's good point. So
It's like,
even if you do
it's
use that,
2025. We can use a computer program. But it shouldn't be the only thing you're using, and you shouldn't be charging over $100 for something I can do myself.
yes. But if if you're using that computer side to it, then you better be looking at it and typing up and writing the actual explanation yourself,
Yes, what
not
each
the
house
AI generated
placing.
one that comes with the program,
Right.
which I think is more the point I'm going
Yeah, like you need
with.
to
Right.
actually be explaining what the house placements
Yeah.
mean, what.
Yeah. There's more that you should be doing than just typing into a computer.
Yeah.
And if all they're doing is, and if you're able to crank out uh, a birth chart that quickly, chances are either A, you got nothing else to do, which is possible,
Always a possibility.
or two, you're just typing into the computer and sending them over the printout, which, if they're only charging you 20, 30, $40, okay. Okay. They're charging you 100 plus,
Yeah.
right? That's kind of with that.
And anybody who, like, back to astrology, it's like, yeah, you might react to certain things a certain way because you're a Cancer rising or a Taurus, whatever. That's okay. So now I understand that that has part of the reason why I react the way I do, or the reason I think or feel or believe the way I do. But if that behavior is a toxic or otherwise negative behavior to the people around me, that's my cue to go, okay, now I have this explanation for how and why I do something. Now I know to be aware of that tendency and to make steps to do it differently,
Yes.
to behave in a way that is more acceptable and kind to the people around me.
Yes. Yep. 100%.
So, accountability, like, seriously, guys.
At the end of the day, when you look at all these red flags, accountability is really what ties everything together. Accountability of yourself, accountability of the people that you were looking to purchase from, looking
To
to
learn from,
learn from. Um,
like we say all the time on the podcast, like, you want to argue with us?
please do
Please do. Come at it.
challenge me on this. Come into the messages here or email us with that's not a red flag. You're kind of a dick, and this is why. Cool. Challenge us.
Yeah.
Listen, and I'll challenge you back because that's the way you learn. That's the way you grow. And if any practitioner is trying to sell you anything, whether it be items, energy, time,
Doesn't like it when you know something more than they do about something, or come back with an argument against what they're trying to sell you. Red
if
flag.
they're not willing to learn and grow from the people around them, red flag.
Or be able to hold their own in a discussion on why you do something in a certain way or what have you.
Yep.
Red flag.
So let's now get into because this is going to get let's start talking about healers.
You knew this one was gonna.
Passion. And in all honesty,
It's because we want to see you guys get scammed. Honestly, like, we don't want
it's
to see you
happened
guys
to us, and
wasting
we
your
don't want
money.
it to happen to you. Okay. Um, and this one is the I think the big one for me.
Yeah, this
So
one makes you so mad.
this gets me heated. Um, part of the agreement for working in this business with his pay was in agreement Reiki certifications and lessons and classes. This is something I want to learn. Since learning it, man, my have changed. Right, I will always speak very positively on Reiki. More so Genji Reiki than say Western Reikis because that's the practice that I do practice. Um, I will say when it comes to Reiki practitioners is they can't tell you what kind of Reiki they practice. that should be a bit of a red flag. Like you should at least know, is it Western Reiki or is it Gendai Reiki?
Like, what school of Reiki are you practicing?
Yeah, that's it. It
If
should be
you're just like Reiki, I'm like,
I've run into so many people who are just like Reiki. No, that's not how it works. There's
there's
different
different
styles,
forms.
different forms, and it matters because those different forms have different approaches to it, right? Um, and this individual was giving considers themselves a Genkai Reiki master and used Genkai Reiki, worked with a lot of people with it, taught a lot of students,
Still teaching.
still teaches a lot of students, and they were removed from the Genkai Reiki network.
They are not listed.
They're not even supposed to be allowed to technically use the term Genkai Reiki because they were booted. Um,
For not following proper procedures.
I found this out because obviously we had a falling out when all these things came to light. I'm not going to go back to them for further education. At this point, I had received level three uh, master certification, and Shinpai master certification, and the only level I had to go through from there was master instructor. So I was like, okay, cool. Let me look this up. Let me look for other Gendai Reiki practitioners and instructors in the area, and there's one. There is one that is recognized as a Gendai Reiki master, and she is from Japan. So I reached out and I said, "Hey, this," and I got back. I'm sorry, but you are not a Gendai Reiki practitioner. Essentially,
Yeah.
the conversation went over many, many, many emails. Um, and her, I got a free Reiki session, and we chatted and we talked. And afterwards, she let me know if she would take me on as a student. Just the energy was so completely different in that one, and there's very specific rules that you have to follow, things you have to do, ways you have to teach. That wasn't being followed and done, and that was why this person was removed from, but is still making money off the name.
Hmm.
Um, as I've gone through and back up to a level three Shinpaiden practitioner certification, one of the most glaring things very quickly, Shinpaiden is not a Reiki master. That is level four. Level four is master
And
instructor. So the, the signing of level three ship Reiki master
is
is the first
is a
big red flag.
misnomer.
So when you're looking, I'm gonna show you the certificate I got from them. I have whited out part. I've taped over part of their name, their business name, and where their names and signatures are. Okay, and there's a few things we're going to point out on this, and this is the whole thing of if you see any kind of red flag on, or if you're going to learn from somebody on any technique, and I'm going to say specifically with healing, but this could be really any classes. Do your research on them before you do it,
Find the governing body.
because that's going to tell you a lot flat out. So when we that almost flew up. Okay, so when we look at the certificate, and hopefully let me slide over so I'm not too much into the microphone. Hopefully, some of you are going to recognize this. Okay.
So,
So you can't. It's not uh, focusing in very well, but down here it says master, right?
yeah, it says Gendai Reiki master level. Underneath Shinpaiden practitioner.
So this is where their signatures are. This should have been the first and one of the biggest things that we that should have told us a lot about them. You look right here.
It's supposed to say holistic.
Holistic. They've misspelt their own name on certificates. And because we know other people who have worked for them, that had been pointed out to them years
And they never
ago,
and they were
and they never
printing these
changed it.
out on their computer. This wasn't like
Yeah, you can get all these fancy
it
certificates
literally
on
would
your
have
computer.
taken them 5 minutes in a Word document to delete one eye.
Yeah.
And they just never did it.
Instead, they were holistic. So if somebody's not taking the time to make sure that a certificate is 100% spelled correctly, let alone their name.
Yeah.
Red flag. Look into what it is they're trying to teach and trying to practice. They boast having hundreds of people in Reiki.
But none of those certifications are actually valid within the Gendai Reiki.
Exactly. So, and who knows how many of them that reached master instructor level
Are now
have also certified others. And none of these now, are you still doing Reiki? Yes, you are. What was ending up being taught was a combination of Gendai Reiki with Western Reiki and shamanic tendencies,
a
all
little bit of
added
like,
to
yeah,
one.
journeying tendencies.
It is disingenuous. It is lying. It is using names that don't associate with to get in. There's also some other dubious things that were found through that. Stuff like energetic hooks put into their clients to keep an attachment to. We have found them in
Multiple people.
At least 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Um,
Including ourselves.
and that includes people who have come to us saying, hey, I was doing some self healing and I found this. The only thing to be explained to is attached from that person. 100%. 100%. And that was before we'd ever shared that story with anybody. Um, it is very, very important to discern the healers you go to.
Especially if you're doing energy work. There's so much that they can mess up in there.
Very much so.
You don't want to risk your whole energetic field getting completely fucked because somebody is a duplicitous jackass.
Mm-hmm. Also, look at the way they live, right? If they do actually practice what they preach, if you get the opportunity to spend time and develop a friendship and see them after hours behind closed doors, if you get a chance to be behind the curtain, if the person isn't practicing what they preach, if everything is just a jumble and they have nothing nice to say about anyone, then there's definitely certain practices that they don't belong to. They don't subscribe to.
Somebody who's also the chronic victim.
They,
Everybody's against them. Everybody's out to get them. Anybody who's like even just like a little bit paranoid sounding, red flag.
yep.
Because again, we're lacking accountability and actions towards other people.
Yeah.
If it's always I got in a fight with that or the other person because of this, that, and the other thing, and now they're after me, it's like maybe they were just a dickhead.
Yeah.
And that person just wants nothing to do with them, and because their ego isn't getting stroked by that person, they're the enemy.
Yep. Yep. I'm gonna throw out one last one before I start finishing up my side to things. Uh, if somebody is trying to, it goes on the same things of, if you're trying to make yourself a victim as a way to draw in others, that should be a giant red flag.
Mm-hmm.
In this business, do you face certain difficulties? Yes. Do you need to go plastering it all over the place to try and draw more people in?
No.
No. If you can make public records and emails and letters and then go, but what it really means is this, so that you stretch it out, red flag. Um, we've had a quasi with one of the local churches. Were we out there to try to draw people in? No. Do we talk about it with our friends and those that we were close to? Of course. You know, our shop has a Discord channel that's in beta testing. All those emails are shared on there and discussion on that because it's kind of an inner circle type of a thing. Um, but are we showing airing the dirty laundry of the look how oppressed we are. Look at the big powerful church coming after
Yeah,
this little
we're
place.
like, look at these
No,
assholes.
is it, and if we did that again, this is something that is disingenuous because it's the look how oppressed I am. Please come and support me and show them they're wrong, right? And there's a story in the case out there that's gotten big over social media over the last year or so that I'd really love to get into and discuss.
Too
It's
much.
too much drama and not worth it. Um,
But
but
I
if
got 2 feet. I can stand on my own.
yeah, yeah, if you have to air dirty laundry and expand a story into this big giant label of persecution, red flag that.
Yeah.
Red flag it
And again,
because it's
and this doesn't mean like completely cut these people out. Like we've gone through a lot of red flags. That doesn't mean like absolutely don't go to these people. It means just again use your discernment. If you start seeing a layer of multiple red flags, then you might want to
then you
consider
might
going
want.
somewhere
I mean, heck, even just going back to the online only type practitioner, we have a dear friend of ours who has a business of the such.
else. Mm-hmm.
She does readings out of the shop, does meditations and energy workings out of the shop, but the vast majority of her business is online, and she's phenomenal. I love her.
Yeah.
She does a lot of good work and she educates a lot of good people. So there are great practitioners out there that may have one or two of these red flags, but when you do that deeper dive and you dig a little bit more and you discern, you find out not a red flag,
Yeah.
not a problem. They're good, but you got to make sure you're doing your work to get to that level because there's a lot of idiots out there who are looking to take advantage of everybody in their energetic space. They're going to try to manipulate and lie. They're going to give fake practice backstory. They're going to give fake ancestry. They're going to. I've seen some change their accent to seem more friendly to the LGBTQ plus community.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people put on a show just like the old timey pulling up a wagon, opening it
Flim
up, and
flam man.
selling Uncle Jim's magic elixir. Right? They're still actively doing that today.
Yeah.
Be safe on who you choose to practice with. Be safe on where you choose to get yourself. Because you know what? Some people are going to say, like, it really doesn't matter what store you go to because you're still just getting stuff. And it's not, doesn't matter who the people are. No, it really does. Because their energy is all over that. Their intention is all over that. Right?
And I'd rather you, honestly, I'd rather you go to Amazon to buy your chime candles than go and give your money to somebody who is out there actively doing harm in the spiritual community.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say Amazon or whatever, like, but just I'd rather you go on Etsy and buy your chime candles from whoever.
Hmm.
Um,
I mean, heck, we have a crystal supplier in the close vicinity of our side of the world that boy, they sure want our business and they want the business of the metaphysical shops around, but don't dare talk to the owner about crystals having
any
any
properties.
kind of spiritual properties because that's just fake hooey. We don't purchase from that. They got good prices. They got nice product. It would probably be beneficial, but I'm not going to buy from somebody who thinks that what we do is phony
Yeah.
because that energy is just there. So the same thing. If you see the red flags in people and go, yeah, they don't align to who I am and to my morals and to all of that, it's not going to be okay to buy goods from them, right? Because their stank ass energy that doesn't agree with yours is all over that stuff that you just bought.
Yeah. I know it's hard in this day and age. Like there is no truly um, uncorrect capitalism.
Yeah,
Like if you're buying from anybody, there's going to be issues with the supply chain somewhere, right?
yeah.
Um, just unfortunately the world we live in these days. So you know, you do what you can
And
to
just because
mitigate
it's
where you
it's not
can.
good for you doesn't mean it's not good for somebody else. There have been stores that Jess has enjoyed going to
Hmm.
that I despise and would never walk back in, and vice versa.
Yeah.
It all comes down to you. So take note to that field of flags. Take note to how red they are. see what does and doesn't align with you, and kind of go from there.
Yeah.
This one's on you.
You just be safe.
Learn from the stories we told you, because otherwise you're gonna be wasting a lot of time and money on
People that
on
don't
people
deserve.
that just, yeah, really don't deserve it. So we're gonna stop it there. Uh, Please, as we always say, like, subscribe, hit the button, share, do all that kind of good stuff. Like, comment, email the.conclave.podcast at gmail.com. Send us your comments, send us your concerns, send us your questions. We do have that Ask a Witch
Yeah, that's coming up in two
coming up
episodes.
very, very quickly. So if you do have any questions that you would like to hear coming from a panel of different types of practitioners, everything
Tune in
from
then.
folk magic to hoodoo, sex magic, neo paganism. It's a conglomeration of a lot of stuff, from people who are relatively new to very
Well
experienced
practiced.
to have been doing this their entire lives.
So,
So this is the time to ask some pertinent questions, and that's it from us today. I think
yep.
we said
I think we've said
we said
enough.
our
I think
piece.
people are going to start losing attention spans if we don't land the plane at this point.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Have a good one.
Until next time.